Good morning and welcome to the homestead. There is this one thing that you cannot do that I see trending so much, and you can't do it if you want to live out on a country homestead and live a self-sufficient lifestyle. You're not going to make it. Let's talk about it. It's a beautiful but cold morning here in East Texas. Cold is all relative, of course. Let's talk inside the greenhouse because it is much nicer in there. It's about 41 outside and it's 54 here in the greenhouse, so it's beautiful and it's going to heat up pretty quick. You can see behind me everything is green, and I will take you on a tour of the greenhouse and show you what's growing in here when we are done with this talk. There, I had to move, the sun was in my face and it's coming up quick. Okay, so what I'm reading in the comments and what I hear from people a lot, I read about people and I get comments of people saying, just stick to this one topic. Please stop talking about these other things, just stick to this. So let's say it's food preservation. Now, food preservation is great and it's extremely important, and we do a lot of it here on the channel, but you cannot just focus on one topic. So the comments I get are, hey, just talk about food preservation and stop talking about that solar stuff, or stop talking about building stuff or gardening stuff. Just focus on the food preservation. Guys, you can't do that. You cannot be what I'm going to call a one-trick pony with homesteading. You can't sit in your current situation and just preserve food. Now, that'll help. That's a great skill to learn, like I said. That'll help get you a little bit farther than most people. But you can't solely focus on one skill. You have to. You have to branch out and learn things that you're uncomfortable with. You have to branch out and learn everything that you are going to need to survive in an environment like this. And there are two big reasons why you need to do that. One, so you can help others, and that's probably the most important. So you can help others. If you have a huge basket of skills that you have learned and honed, and maybe you're an expert in some of them, you can help others. You can teach others. You can help those who are, say, I don't know, less physically able to do it. And also, you are not going to be a burden on others. That's point number two. If you only learn one skill, sure, food preservation is an amazing skill and it's extremely necessary. But if that's all you know, and you don't even know how to grow your own food, or you don't know how to, make a fire, I don't know, build a lean-to, then you've got an issue, because then you're not going to have all the skills to be able to survive, and you're going to need to rely on somebody else and put some burden on them. You have to learn things you are uncomfortable with, right? Before I did this solar a couple of years ago, I studied for a long time. I was scared of electricity, but I sucked it up and I did it. I learned. I learned safety first. I mean, if you're doing something like that, you need to learn safety. I was nervous putting this greenhouse up. I did it all by myself, but I took my time. I read the instructions about 100 times, I did it carefully, and I put it up. I'm not an expert with growing food yet, and I've got some serious things that I'm still stumbling over that I'll show you in a minute. Everything in here is not perfect. Everything in the garden is not perfect. But I'm constantly being a student. I've got books. I've got, obviously still have YouTube. I can, watch other people on how they do it. I'm not an expert. I don't purport to be an expert on everything. And maybe someday I will be an expert in something. Maybe I am in architecture, but is that skill super useful out here? Yeah, in some cases about knowing how a building goes together. But does it help me feed my family? No. So I am a constant learner. I'm constantly learning. I'm a lifelong student. You have to be a student every single day and not just be a student of one particular topic. You can't study, I guess, solar, let's take for instance. You can't study solar every single solitary day and not learn how to build a shed or plant broccoli. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there because it's a narrow focused mind that's gonna get you in trouble. If you haven't seen my beehive setup video, click at the top of the screen. When I was younger, was terrified of bees. Yet, I am overcoming that fear. I've pretty much overcome the fear over the years. They don't bother me anymore. And I get close to all the bees and the bumblebees and all those things in the garden, and I actually like them. So I've overcome the fear over time, and I'm just jumping in headfirst and going with beekeeping and learning about it every day. But I decided that that was a very important skill if I'm going to produce some sort of sugar here on our property. That was a very important skill to have. So I set my mind to it and went forward. And I'm continuing to move forward with that project. But friends, please, and I know this doesn't apply to my subscribers, or at least 99.99% of you, but it applies to people who are just surfing around on YouTube. They think, yeah, this homesteading thing looks pretty cool. I'm just gonna learn to preserve food. Great. Do that, but then move on, because you need to know the basics. You got to move on. So if you see any comments like that on my channel, I want you to encourage them to branch out and learn as many different skills as they possibly can stuff in their brain. And there are so many things to learn. I am still running into things every single solitary day out here that I need to learn how to do. I can't even go over the list of things, those new things. You just bump into something one day and you're like, ooh, all right, I gotta fix that, or I need to, you know, change that or whatever, and I don't know how to do that. So I need to learn how to do that and learn how to do it pretty quickly so I can get it done. And I may or may not ever run into that same thing ever again, but now I have a little bit of knowledge about how to do it, and that's super important because I can help somebody else do it. All right, so do not be a one-trick pony, or that's going to get you in trouble, and it's not going to be helpful for others. Let's show you what's going on here in the greenhouse in December. So check it out, friends. We've got eggplant still rocking and rolling in December in the greenhouse. So we've got new eggplants, new flowers. We've got flowers on our pepper plants also. Although the peppers are looking a little sad. I think they have a curly leaf disease, and I can't remember the name of it right now. But they're still putting out peppers and flowers, even on that diseased portion right there. Over here, we've got some herbs. We've got our malunggay or moringa. Most people commonly know it as moringa. That's what they sell it in the store. The other Filipino name for it is malunggay. But you can see I better trim it. I'm just gonna poke through the top of my plastic there. I tried to bring in some rosemary from the garden outside to put it in here. I don't think it's doing too well. I'm not sure if I got enough roots. Over here, we've got some broccoli sprouting back from the root that I cut off last year. That's crazy. Look at this root right here, and I've got broccoli coming off of it. So I'm gonna leave that. It's in the midst of our nitrogen fixing cover crop, which actually didn't germinate very well at all. We've got our cover crop over here, and we actually have a sweet potato. One random purple Okinawan sweet potato that I put in because my wife loves them, and it's still alive here in the greenhouse. Obviously, they're not alive outside. Look at all these tomatoes. Rocking and rolling in December. We've got a ton of Roma and San Marzano tomatoes, and I need to spray these because I still have the whitefly here in the greenhouse. They haven't gotten cold enough to die off, and they're still hanging out. So we're just going to spray these with the neem oil and soap that I use that works really well, and we'll get that taken care of. It gets too hot in the greenhouse sometimes, so you can see I've got some lettuce behind me that's bolting. It's bolting in December, which is nuts. I thought it would be cold enough, but I guess not. Not for that. All right, down here, look at all the citrus we've got. This is a Filipino calamansi right here, and it's got citrus on it. This is a lime behind it, and it's got little limes starting, which is very cool. All right, check it out. Banana. We've got our banana tree in here, just doing really well. This is the one transplant, the experiment banana that I brought in here. All of our bananas outside are dead and they don't fruit because they die off and then they come back every year. We've got Chinese cabbage, we've got collard greens, and some Nero de Toscana kale back there. Those love the cold, but here, I'm gonna show you the sad Swiss chard. And I always will show you the good, the bad, and the ugly because it's not all perfect here all the time, and I don't want you to ever get that impression. Okay, look, it's totally full of holes, and I know what it is, and they're little army worms. And army worms are tough to get out. You can kill them with neem oil and soap, and I've been trying to diligently do that, but you can see they wiped out a lot of the leaves. And they will spread, so I have to be really on top of this. They've actually gone over here to the kale and the Chinese cabbage a little bit. So it's a constant battle with things like this. So I've got the whitefly and some army worms in here now. Okay, over here, of course, we've got our echinacea, calendula, we've got herbs, we've got chocolate mint, thyme, oregano, and then right here, broccoli, check it out. Now the army worms have come over here a little bit, but not too bad, and I'm spraying them off. We've got a nice broccoli head here forming. I've got another one over here. But I don't think this bed had enough nitrogen to start with. We've got some spinach down here, which is nice. Spinach, and then fava beans. And these have not produced any flowers yet. Oh, no, what? You know what? As we're talking about it, I'm seeing some flowers over here on this piece, or this stem right here. That's exciting. I hadn't seen that yet. It doesn't look bad. It's got some little broccoli heads on it, but hopefully these won't bolt out and flower out before they get big enough to have a meal out of. It's starting to get pretty bright in here. I can't even hardly see. This is something that's pretty crazy. So these are the beans I put in here, the Blue Lakes, to fix nitrogen in this soil and get some beans out of. And the whiteflies hit them really bad. You can see they don't look good at all, but they're coming back. So these were supposed to be killed off pretty quickly in weather that's like 40 degrees, give or take, and they didn't. They survived, and I've got new beans. And there's flowers on it. So I'm gonna continue to have beans, hopefully maybe for the next, I don't know, couple weeks. Let's see how long they survive for. I'm really stunned at this development and really excited because it teaches me a little bit more about how important and powerful having a greenhouse can be. So over here we've got some beets, and there's only a few because what happened was the eggplant are big enough they came over and shaded the beets, and the beans, I didn't think about it, were leafy enough and thick enough where it shaded the beets and it shaded the rows of carrots that I had planted throughout here as well. So you can see a couple of carrots over here, but there aren't many at all because they just got too much shade. And so I don't think I'll get many carrots out of here, maybe just a handful and maybe just a couple of beets, but it's an experiment. It was an experiment in intercropping and planting, and now I know that I cannot shade those types very much at all. And even though these are about 18 inches apart, I guess if I would have trellised these up or kept these up right a little bit better and not let them go over into the other bed, it would have been good. But hey, you live and learn. And if you are planting in your greenhouse, take lessons like that into consideration. So behind me, we've got another citrus. This is another Filipino calamansi in this pot, and over there is the arugula. I was so happy with how that turned out this year. I'm gonna plant that every year and use the seeds from the company that I did, which I can't remember, and I'll put down in the description for you. I use seeds from a bunch of different companies, and that one, the germination was unbelievable. I was very happy with it. So that's what we've got over there. I think that's everything. I covered everything in the greenhouse right now, and there's nothing growing in the garden except for our garlic and the strawberries. Those are the only two things. Oh, and sorry, some collard greens. They love the cold. It's so funny, everybody thinks collard greens are like a hot weather, southern, leafy green. They're not. They absolutely love the cold weather also. Hot and cold. So if you need something to grow year round, and they are a biennial, if you need something to grow year round that's extremely nutritious, high in calcium, collard greens is the way to go. Okay friends, it's actually getting really warm in here. I've only been talking to you about 10 to 12 minutes, I think, and I said it was 54 when I walked in here. It's 72 now. So in just a short period of time, boom, that temperature in here gets super hot, and so I'm gonna have to prop this door open. Anyway, don't be a one-trick pony, and learn every single solitary day, a whole range of skills, because you're gonna need them. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.